السلام عليكم. اليوم البث بنتفرج على شيء شوي غريب مو مألوف، اللي هو محكمة أمبر هيرد مع جوني ديب. أنا قد شفتها للأمانة، دائما أحب أتابعها. الصراحة المحامية كانت مرة ممتازة، محامية جوني ديب خرافية، أقل ما يقول فيها خرافية. ليت يعني بعض البنات المفروض ياخذون مثل هالنموذج كنموذج محامية، أو دكتورة أو كذا. هذه النماذج اللي يبغالنا نرفعها الصراحة. أما النماذج اللي هشك بالشك لا، مو كويسة، مرة مو كويسة. فأتمنى نعزز هالثقافة عند أطفالنا، إنها جدا مفيدة وتبني المجتمع. نماذج مثل كذا تبني المجتمع. بس نماذج الدراما طبعا ما اقصد تمثيل، اقصد دراما من ناحية يشوفوني انا طالع مع صديقاتي
يعني سبحان الله تغني معه تكفى كلاش
صراحة. استمتعوا معنا. بنشوف المحكمة طبعا ترجمة، وإن شاء الله يعني اللي عنده مداخلة أو كلام على شيء معين أو كذا يتفضل.
أبو السعد
حلو، يعني فرفشة، والله فرفشة ودردشة. ثواني بس. ناخذ العنوان. وشكرا لصاحب القناة على الترجمة اللي هي GemEgypt.com، مشكور جدا، عمل جبار. بس احط هذه واحطها جست شاتنج ونبتدي نتفرج. بدي انسخ الكلام هذا، ثواني عشان نحط اسمائهم بالانجليزي. انا بعض يمكن جوني ديبس. تمام، ماشي الامور.
So you decided to take a picture of Mr. Depp asleep on the floor?
He was passed out. And I took a picture of him because he wouldn't remember. He claimed he didn't pass out that way. And sometimes we would carry him like a baby into bed, get him changed, and he would be none the wiser. So I started taking pictures of it so that he knew that it was real, that it had gotten this bad.
Let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 1091, which is already in evidence. You took this picture as well.
What's wrong with that?
Yes.
And this is a picture that was taken in the Bahamas, right?
It's one of them, yes.
What the hell's wrong with
And
this?
this is a picture of Mr. Depp taking a nap on his tropical island.
He's just chilling.
I believe he was on the nod, but as he would say.
Sleeping on the
الو
nod
الو
on his island.
They're very different,
اوكي.
in my opinion.
الو اوكي، الحين صوت واضح.
On vacation.
تمام.
We were on vacation, yes.
اوكي، خلينا نرجع.
So
بالنسبة هذا شخص أحب أتابعه اسمه جولد، مع انه فيه اشكاليات معه بس
All right. Thank you. All right. Be seated. Cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Miss Heard.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Depp hasn't looked at you once this entire trial, has he?
Not that I've noticed, no.
You've looked at him, though, many times, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
You know exactly why Mr. Depp won't look back at you, don't you?
No.
I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He promised you you would never see his eyes again. Isn't that true?
I don't recall if he said that.
One of the last times you ever saw Mr. Depp was when you met him in San Francisco in July of 2016, right?
That was the second to last time I saw him, yes.
And this was after you had publicly accused him of domestic violence.
I got my restraining order before that, yes.
And this is after you had obtained the domestic violence restraining order against him.
That's correct.
Let's please play Plaintiff's Exhibit 1229. For the record, it's at 1101 through 1209. I'm going to ask that it be admitted into evidence.
Any objection to 1229?
Yes.
All right, 1229, you want to enter it in its entirety?
Yes, please.
Okay, 1229 entered in its entirety. Go ahead and play your section.
No. Oh, no, a hug will save it all. All this, everything we
I just wanted to touch you.
just... Really? After all this shit you just said?
I just wanted to give
After
you a
all this
hug.
shit you fucking accused me of? You
Yes,
want to
please,
touch me?
please stop me.
Fucking...
Please stop. Please, I just wanted to hug you. Please
صوت عندكم واضح؟
We did that last time. It's fine. That was... No, because I'm nothing to you. And I will always be nothing to you. What, you're not my friend? No, it's all good. No, we'll never see each other. We won't even don't take my fucking glasses off. You know, my fucking looking at not my fucking eyes. You will not see my eyes again.
That's you and Mr. Depp in that recording.
That is.
And this is from when you and Mr. Depp met in San Francisco in July of 2016, right?
Yes, that's what it sounds like. That was in the hotel. We met once after that as well.
This is after you publicly accused him of domestic abuse.
Yes, and got my TRO.
And he tells you you will not see my eyes again, doesn't he?
Yes, he does in that recording.
And he kept that promise, hasn't he?
As far as I know, he cannot look at me.
He won't look at you, right, Miss Heard?
He can't.
One of the first questions your counsel asked you on direct is, why are you here? Do you remember that?
I do.
Let's please play Plaintiff's Exhibit 357A, which is already in evidence, Your Honor. And for the record, it's 2122 through 2140.
And see what the jury and judge think. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence, and
Yes.
it's a fair fight. And see how many people believe or side with you.
That's your voice on that recording, right?
Yes, it is.
And you were speaking with Mr. Depp.
Yes.
And you said to Mr. Depp, quote, you can please tell people that it was a fair fight and see what the jury and the judge think. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them, Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp, a man, a victim too of domestic violence, end quote. That's what you said, right?
I was saying it to the man who beat me up, yes. I thought it was preposterous.
And the man you beat up numerous times. Right, Ms. Heard?
I could never hurt Johnny.
You're here in this courtroom because Mr. Depp finally told the world that he is a victim of domestic violence.
I know that he is suing me, and has sued other people or corporations that have said that as well.
You didn't think he would tell the world he was a victim of domestic violence, did you?
I found it hard to believe that he could or that he would do that, considering the relationship he and I had. I thought it would be crazy for him to do so, knowing what I know we lived through.
Or, as you said to him in that recording, who was going to believe that Johnny Depp, a man, is a victim of domestic violence, right?
With all due respect, I wasn't saying it because he's a man. I was saying it because he was a man who beat me up for 5 years.
Mr. Depp is your victim, isn't he?
Straight to the throat,
No, ma'am.
And once he left you, you continued to abuse him publicly, by calling him an abuser, didn't you?
He is an abuser, and you can look either of us up online and figure out who's being abused online.
Let's look at some of that. Mr. Depp wears rings on every finger, doesn't he, Miss Heard?
That's my experience, yes.
And they're not delicate rings, are they?
No, they are not.
Every one of his fingers is adorned, your words, big, chunky rings. Isn't that right?
That's my experience of him.
And Mr. Depp is always wearing rings, right, Miss Heard?
That's my experience of him.
And you've never known him not to wear these rings.
That's my experience, is he normally wore rings, yes.
So, Mr. Depp was wearing these big, chunky rings on every finger. Every incident of abuse you've described to this jury, right?
I can't say for certain it was in every single incident.
But you've never known him not to wear rings, right?
In general, my experience with Johnny is that he wears rings almost all the time.
Ms. Heard, do you recall giving testimony in a deposition in this matter in January of this year?
I do.
Can we please play from your deposition, day 2, 512, page 512, lines 11 through 15?
You said he hit you and he was wearing rings, right, Ms. Heard? So he hit you with rings on every finger?
12,
I don't know
lines
if I've
11
ever
through
known
15?
Johnny to not wear rings.
Yeah.
Ms. Heard, you testified to an incident in March of 2013 where Mr. Depp hit you in the face multiple times. Do you recall that?
That's correct.
And you testified, quote, "You don't know how many times he hit you in the face."
That's correct.
So Mr. Depp hit you in the face multiple times while he was wearing rings on this occasion, correct?
Which occasion in March are you referencing? You weren't
The
specific.
testimony that you gave on day 15 of this trial, March of 2013. You weren't specific as to the day.
There were several incidents.
The one where he hit you several times in the face.
There were sorry, just so I understand better, there were several incidents in March. Which one are you asking me about?
The time that he hit you several times in the face wearing rings.
Well, he pretty much
March of
always...
2013.
Right. What are you asking me? I'm sorry.
He was wearing rings on that occasion?
I pretty much always knew him to wear rings.
Okay, let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 170A, which is already in evidence, Your Honor. You testified that this is a picture you took after that incident, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, that was one where he grabbed me.
And hit you in the face so many times that you don't remember. Isn't that correct?
نعم.
That's correct.
And there's no injuries to your face in this picture, are there?
لا.
Not that this picture shows.
And there's no medical records reflecting that you sought treatment after this alleged incident either.
ما في.
I did not seek medical treatment at this time.
مقنعة.
So there's no medical records reflecting any injuries to your face after he hit you several times,
I did not need to go to the doctor at the time.
despite hitting you several times that you lost count with rings on his fingers.
That's correct. I did not seek medical attention, other than my therapist.
You testified to another incident in March of 2013 where Mr. Depp hit you while he was wearing a lot of rings. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
And you testified you felt like your lip went through your teeth and it got a little blood on the wall.
Yes, I remember that.
There isn't a picture of you with injuries after that alleged incident, is there?
I don't know if I've seen one. I can't recall. There are a lot of pictures.
You didn't produce any photographs after that alleged incident, did you?
I don't know if I took one or if it's included. I'm not quite sure which ones.
You didn't show any pictures to this jury after describing that alleged incident that your lip went into your teeth. You don't remember that, right? You didn't show any pictures to this jury after describing that incident, right?
I don't believe I've seen that picture admitted.
That picture doesn't exist.
I don't know which one you're talking about. We have pictures from March 2013, yes.
The only picture that you've produced and shown to this jury is the one that was just put up on the screen, where you said he hit you multiple times in the face, and you appear to have what is a bruise on your arm, correct?
I believe this is the only picture that's in evidence right now.
That's the only picture you've shown to this jury from March 2013, correct?
I believe so.
You testified about an incident in Russia on or about June 26, 2013. Do you remember that?
Yes, that's correct.
You testified that Mr. Depp, quote, whacked you in the face.
That's correct.
And you went to the bathroom after that, right?
I did.
And then, according to your testimony, when you came out of the bathroom, Jerry Judge, Mr. Depp's security guard, who's passed away, pointed out that your nose was bleeding, right?
He did that in the hallway.
And you said you hadn't known that your nose was bleeding until Jerry Judge pointed it out to you?
Yes, that's correct. I was unaware until he brought it up to me. I didn't see it when I was in the bathroom, but I wasn't looking.
So it's your testimony that you went into the bathroom and didn't look in the mirror, which I assume was in the bathroom, to notice that your nose was bleeding?
That's not why I went into the bathroom. I went into the bathroom crying. I don't even know if I paid attention to the mirror. I certainly didn't enough to notice any blood.
And you didn't take any pictures of your bloody nose either, did you?
I did not.
But pictures were taken of you in Russia.
شباب في شغلة يبغانا نشوفها اللي هو نعيدها من هنا.
Josh, how are we today?
I'm feeling amazing. Honestly, I will say this ACL has produced some of the most entertaining matches and gameplay that I've seen the whole season. We've seen some crazy stuff. Last week we saw on the first play like a 1v4 clutch and then a 1v5 all, something like this. It was completely crazy. I'm so excited to see more today.
Yeah, I think so. It's produced upsets as well. I think that's one of the biggest things that we've seen across SAL. You know, FaZe losing last week, of course, is a huge one to talk about. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun working this broadcast, I will say, Lush.
Absolutely has been. It's good to have kind of different perspectives and kind of having EML and NAL talent kind of intermixing and having their own time to really go through SAL, because it is, I guess, the best league, at least the one that's producing the best teams internationally at all of our events. But if I were to zoom out for just a second, right, we're talking about best region, let's go to some Tier 2 Siege, aka NAL, and kind of talk about what's been going on over the past few weeks in there. I'm just going to share the results from our last play. Of course, NAL, this is the North American League with the top teams from North America. Orglis beating Cloud9, I don't know what's going on. C9 LOL, Merchants, all of that. Wildcard beating Cruelty, M80 rolling over OXG, Shopify and Dark Zero also at the top here. It seems like it's kind of cut and dry at some parts of the league, but not with others, Leo.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, looking at these results, the big one I was looking for, obviously I think like many people was the Shopify Rebellion Space Station. You look at these rosters, especially Shopify Rebellion, we didn't get the chance to see them play at Reload, right? Despite the fact they've got some of the most talented players on it. Spoit is playing on it, you know, Kenny is playing on it. They've got such talent on that team, with Brexon, with the whole, with Andy as well, the best rated player of NAL last stage, that we wanted to see them play and wanted to see them compete against the best teams in NA. And I think them facing Space Station and slamming them in the face, and if you look at the standings later, you're going to see that they're almost at first place right now, they're number 2. That's what I was looking for in that roster. Looking at these standings, what do we see here, Jack? For me, a clear distinction between the top 4 teams that we expect to be top 4 and then the rest of the league.
Yeah, I think North America was expected to be pretty top-heavy this stage, and that's certainly how it's playing out. Dark Zero, of course, have won 6 games, all of them in regulation. They are topping absolutely every metric going in terms of team stats, player, individual stats. They're having a great stage. As you just said, Shopify not too far behind them, and then SSG and M80 making up the top 4. We'll say M80, they took quite a big loss against Cruelty in the week as well, which was a little bit disappointing for them, but they managed to bounce back from that.
And, you know, from the standings and how they exist right now, it's about the next play day. And the next play day is actually not next week. As always, it's on Wednesdays and Thursdays, but next week is, of course, July 4th, which is, you know, the day off in the US, so it definitely has an impact on scheduling. NAL will be back on Thursday, July 10th. That'll be Dark Zero v Cruelty, LFO versus Envy, OXG versus Wildcard, Shopify Rebellion versus Cloud9, finally Space Station Gaming versus M80. Jack, Leo, if I look at all 5 matches, any which one for you guys that really stands out as the must-watch, especially looking at those standings?
I think I'm going to go with the Dark Horse one. I know everybody's going to look at that M80 SSG game, but I'm not going to go to that one. Game 3, OXG versus Wildcard. One on 9 points, the other one on 5 points. And they're both in the run for playoffs, especially Wildcard. After such a strong string at Reload, not making playoffs would be a huge blow. And so this match between these two are extremely important because they're right now close to each other in the standings. In that 5 to 6 spot trying to make the playoffs, that one is very important back against the wall type of matchup for me.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, especially for OXG, they're chasing down that top 4, you know, M80 with that loss. There's not that many points between them, realistically. I think, actually, that's a big game for OXG to prove that, you know, they can compete with that top 4, especially. As Leo said, it's all about the...
Thought this was cut and dry, Leo.
No, when you look at the rosters in Brazil right now, and the talent that there is here, the competition is so high, even for big teams that Team Liquid, that coming back into their own region, it becomes really hard. Eventually, if you look at Liquid right now, 0 wins, 4 losses. 1 year ago, exactly 1 year ago, in Stage 1 of Brazilian League, they were already in 0-4, by the way. So they've already went through this scenario. But it's a big surprise. And what does that enable? It enables for Dark Horses to rise to the top, and the Black Dragons is exactly that dark horse again. It's the one that I know Fresh is teasing me for it, but it was my favorite, team coming into this. I was super excited to see them play. I think especially beating FaZe and now being tied with them in points was like the big surprise last week.
I will give it to you, Leo. You did say it before a single round of Siege was played, so I will give it.
Beating FaZe and now being coming into this, I was super excited to see big surprise last week.
ومن
Especially beating FaZe and now being tied with them in points was like the big surprise last week.
I will give it to you, Leo. You did say it before a single
in points.
وتحدنا
Super
على
excited to
واحد.
see them play. I think especially.
I'll give it to you, Leo. You did say it before a single round of Siege was played, so I will give you props on that one. But yeah, both, I think Black Dragons and NIP currently inside the top 6, and maybe surprises from the, I would say, pre-stage expectations.
Now, looking at our playday, loss via NIP to kick off the day. Black Dragons 9Z, FaZe, Loud, start do something.
A huge victory down the bottom of the table.
And if you look at the rest of the matches, obviously like Furia W7M, Battle of the Titans, a direct rematch from that semi-final at Reload. We want to see it. Although it's only a BO1, I'd like to see more of it, but it's going to be great to see these two teams facing each other again.
I do like it in SAL because you always have a champion of something going against a champion of something, because they have the Reload, the Major, and the 6 Invitational champions all inside of SAL.
Man, this really is the best region in the world, is it not? And I like that you're talking about, Boston. We'll get to that. You know what? I'm just going to leave it for a second. I'm just going to tease it for a second. This is it's something cool that we're going to talk about. However, let's go from matches and standings into our intel plays. And there's a specific play from last week that had us losing our minds, and it's right here with Souls.
Yeah, I think obviously a 1 versus 3 clutch, it comes out. Any single time this happens, it's always the team that's in the advantage that's misplayed it. However, Makina there, you've just seen it, he shot all of his DMR bullets. He had 2 bullets left after the plant, so he had to try and play this 1v1 clutch with only a Gon 6 and a knife in hand. He did end up going for the knife in the end, and of course Souls finishes it off, as you'll see in just a second when he wants to peek it, which is quite a unique way of trying to see a clutch finish, Leo, where one player basically, he has to try and play melee. He's quite literally bringing a knife to a gunfight.
You've got to be hating the fact the guy is sticking the pen, and look at this. 2 of his teammates got injured almost at the same time by the double flick of Souls 1. So when he gets out of the plant, he knows he's done. He knows there's nothing he can do. He kind of panicked because he spent the only 2 ammunition he had left before he was even in a direct threat or direct danger. And at this point, like, this must be terrifying. Just looking at the few last seconds that he has remaining, knowing he cannot shoot anything but a gun 6, trying to have the knife, I mean, that must have been horrible. One thing to point, though, that's one of the 2 rounds that FaZe won that match. So we're technically speaking of a Black Dragons that could have
be worried at all.
You're looking to fight this play.
يلا حل الصفحة.
Most impressive stat line I've seen from him.
كنا هنا هنا
right back up is exactly what he's designed to do. The round immediately shortened his diffuser.
لودينج يطول.
To the Invitational the year after. I wonder what team that was. Some other teams that are barely scraping. That are barely scraping by through the close qualifiers after disappearing through the entirety of the year. It feels like whenever you win an SI, you are cursed at least for a year. And I would like to explore that with you, but how about we talk about it with our pro players. Ike from the BR6 production team sat down, had chat.
One week ago today, and that was off the back of some of the most creative, explosive attacks that we've seen. So for me, if Lost turn up and they throw in and they have these creative, explosive attacks, they can recover, they can win this game against Nip. If they attack like we've seen in the other free play days where they've won a collective 3 attacks across those play days, across those 3 play days. Then they might struggle.
Just to see who makes it to playoffs. The top 6, as you're saying, Jack, those are the spots to look at. But then from NAL, I focus.
Not only did they hit a title drought, they basically disbanded from the R6 scene. Now let's talk about FaZe Clan. They just won this year's Invitational and already got smacked by the Curse in Reload. Oh, but that's not good enough proof. Bruh, y'all are ignoring all this evidence I'm laying out. But whatever, denial isn't just a river in Egypt. FaZe's players are building a dam in it.
Hoje em dia eu não acredito muito em superstição. Depois que eu ganhei o Invitation, acho que eu tirei um pouco isso da minha cabeça. Mas antigamente eu tinha algumas superstições que eu fazia antes dos jogos e tudo. Muito de superstição, assim, eu acho que é mais a parte do mental. Acho que se você não focar nessa parte, que falam que tem a maldição, e focar em querer melhorar e sempre estar evoluindo, acho que você muda totalmente a história disso.
Acredito que a gente não tem uma preocupação de pensar nisso, existe essa maldição, a gente realmente deu uma relaxada no reload, a gente não estava conseguindo treinar muito bem, foi acho que um dos piores períodos assim que a gente teve de treino, mas eu acho que essa maldição acontece mais porque o time em si relaxa, mas acredito que a gente vai conseguir sim sair dessa.
See? I told you they were swimming in denial. Now I know what you're thinking. Hold up! Furia's current roster won the Invitational under W7M, then took Supercopa do Brasil and Reload. They broke the curse. Okay, fair point. But let's not forget their stumbles before and after those wins. Getting destroyed by BDS at EWC, choking to FaZe in the BR6 finals, and Envy semis. The curse might take a break sometimes, but it's still out there collecting souls. Anyway, I want to hear from Furia's squad. What's your take on this whole curse thing? Speak your truth, my guys.
Cara, a maldição do Envy, eu acho que eu não acreditava, mas parece que é real. A FaZe veio mal aí também nesse reload. Tem muito do fato de você ganhar um grande campeonato, você dá, querendo ou não, tira um pouco o pé ali do acelerador. Às vezes o calendário do Rainbow Six não permite isso, né? Acho que é normal também, altos e baixos, faz parte, cara.
Eu acredito bastante que existe essa zica aí do Envy. A gente ganhou, depois a gente teve um ano muito péssimo. A TSM também, a NiP, tudo aí, todas as histórias se alinham pra zica ali que existe do Envy. E a FaZe também foi o primeiro campeonato ali, né, que os caras tiveram aí depois do Envy. Vamos ver aí como se desenrola esse ano aí pra confirmar a zica do Envy, se existe ou não.
Yep, no way around it. Now it's on FaZe Clan to prove whether the curse is real or just some Ubisoft Brazil conspiracy theory. Though let's be real, when it comes to regional events, FaZe always shows up. Which brings us to the million-dollar question. Are Vita King, Handy and the boys the favorites to take SAL?
Cara, acredito que sim. A gente aqui no Brasil a gente consegue se destacar muito bem. A gente tem um diferencial muito forte aqui no Brasil, que é o conforto de jogar em casa e tudo mais. Acho que a gente joga mais relaxado, não tem tanta pressão de ser um campeonato fora.
Para superar essa maldição, acho que não existe nenhuma superstição, é mesmo o trabalho duro, mesmo a vontade de querer ganhar. A gente vai continuar trabalhando como estávamos trabalhando nos períodos que estávamos bem e voltar a ganhar títulos.
Alright, that's all for today. With those curse words from FaZe's finest, I am out. Good luck to FaZe in SAL, thanks everyone, and see you next time.
It's up to you to judge if the curse is real or not. What's our idea here? Is it a real thing, Jack?
Yeah, I think it is. It definitely is. Obviously, the statistics will tell you that it is, but at the same time, the team that wins the Sixth Invitational also has the biggest target on their back, which means more teams kind of raise their level whenever they play against them as well. So I think there's some method behind that madness.
Yeah, I can't tell you about it. Didn't win an SI, so.
I don't think any one of us here has won an SI. We've worked multiple invitationals, but none of us have won an SI. But hey, neither have Falcons, so look at us. We're all on the same level point. Anyways, moving on to our next step. It just means that Falcons / old BDS, of course, they're not subject to this curse. Loss is our first squad up today, as they're of course playing against NIP. What can they bring in this matchup, gentlemen? Is today recovery?
Maybe. I would say maybe. I don't know. This is obviously another team, Milos, that hasn't won a Six Invitational. What they did do was go to North America for a year and pretty much struggled over there. They're back in South America, and they've continued struggling over here. In fact, the struggles statistically is actually that they're the worst attacking team inside of this competition, with only a 30% attack success rate. However, the one game that they did win was against Loud. It was 1 week ago today, and that was off the back of some of the most creative, explosive attacks that we've seen. So for me, if Lost turn up and they throw in and they have these creative, explosive attacks, they can recover. They can win this game against NIP. If they attack like we've seen in the other free play days, where they've won a collective 3 attacks across those play days, across those free play days, then they might struggle.
Yeah, there's big questions here around loss and kind of our expectation going into this. However, NIP seems to have pushed away a lot of questions and then raised a lot more after their last game against Loud, Leo.
Yeah, I think they were proving points. We always expected NIP to show up, and after struggling for multiple months, even more than a year, it looked like they were back. You know, they beat Furia 7-5, they beat Liquid 7-4, and then against Loud, they were incapable of winning a single attack. And so it just brings the point, do they have the level to still be a giant of Brazil, or is they still super inconsistent? Today is the moment where they're going to be facing a weaker team on paper, because I hear what you say, Jack, but at the same time, Los, all 5 players are in the worst 10 rated players of the league. So realistically, it's the moment for NIP to take the regulation win, take 3 points, and secure the spot for playoffs. In the current standings, they're really good, so it's the moment for them to show up.
It is definitely doable, and for that we'll need a map. 9 maps in total, down to 1. Leo, please take us through it.
Yeah, so we're gonna land on Cafe right now. It's interesting because we've just seen NIP beat Liquid on its 7-4. Clearly, Lost expected these guys to go and pick Cafe, so they end up in defense against them, having a full VOD, recent one they can analyze. On the other hand, NIP has 3 VODs of loss because they played it quite a lot, 3 times during Challenger Series, ending up 2-1 on it, so it's a pretty decent map for both of these teams with recent and updated VODs. Clearly, both of the teams could have counter-threaded. It's going to be interesting to see, but I like the fact that Lost is starting in defense for them. Like Jack said, they struggle heavily in attack.
Well, gentlemen, to get an even bigger overview of this, I would like to welcome our casters to the desk, for as they're physically present with us. As you would know, there's our... Okay, that's the game. Lobby's already set, but it's almost ready to go. Our casters, can we bring them up? Because it is their first time in a while here in SAL, and actually our first time working an online broadcast in literal years. Hello, Intero and Jesse. How are we doing today?
I'm gonna take the lead here because I'm the first picture in frame. I'm doing great. The heat wave has ended, so it is finally a sensible temperature outside, which is really quite nice. And I expect these games to raise the temperature just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I would echo that. We never really had a heat wave here on the western side of the country, so I've been chilling, and I'm super excited to get back into casting some South America. It's been too long.
Jesse, not just some South America, I'll correct you and add a bit extra there. You get to cast Los again, this time in another region. How does that feel?
I am so excited, Milos. It has been 274 days since Parker and I last got to cast Los. It's always a privilege with this team, so I'm excited to see what they've got for us this season.
I think you broke his brain. You know what? Just to kind of lay it by the wayside. Too high of a number, that's true. We'll leave it to 6. That's only as high as any of us here can count in Rainbow Six. Anyways, gentlemen, please take it away as we go into game number 1, NIP versus Lost. Intero, Jesse, all yours.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Gassan, I will just say, it has been quite a while since we worked together. It is great to hear your voice. It is great to see you. I've worked more recently with both Fresh and Leo, but they're great as always. Jesse, we do indeed get to work with Los yet again. A bit of a different roster this time, and unfortunately for Los fans, whether they're in North America or they're in this South American League, the results tend to be quite similar. Now, they are experiencing, you know, a bit of a change in their roster. Maybe they're workshopping some things, but unfortunately, they haven't found the success just yet. NIP, the opposite side, obviously sitting in the top 4 at the moment with some big wins over big teams this stage.
Certainly, Parker. I think the NIP guys will be the favorites coming into this just because of how Los performed in the past. I will say, these two did meet in the 6 Invitational qualifiers down in South America, where Los ended NIP's chances at making it to SI with a big 7-3 win. So history does say that Los knows how to beat this squad. Slightly different rosters, of course, still, but the core is the same for both of these teams. I'm excited to see what Los do here in South America. Obviously, they haven't had the best season so far, but they ended their stint in NA with some interesting choices on their IGL, right? They moved Arthur off of that. They had Sexy Gate coming in. Now it seems like Arthur is retaking up those reins, so I'm really excited to see what he can do with this team. And we'll kind of find out as things move forward with Los. There was a lot of expectations on this team coming into the stage. A lot of the people I know in Brazil were hyping this team up. Those same people have now taken it back and admitted they were wrong, so I don't know if that's still there, but after a week off, a lot of things can change.
Absolutely. You've got plenty of games still left to play across all regions right now. They talked about North America, which is our home region for you and I, as that's where we reside, though we have covered Brazil an awful lot and worked quite a lot of Brazilian events to the point where it feels like a second home, but I mean, NA right now is on, I think, a 2-week break, so there is some time between these matches where teams will be able to look back on what they've done well, what they haven't done so particularly well, and hopefully workshop it and improve for the future. Round number 1 underway now between Nip and Los. We'll get into the stats and the standings and all that jazz as we get deeper into this matchup, but it sure appears like Nip is going to swing for the fences. At least that's what it looked like. Los gets the very first kill. Down goes Pino. Cons will follow shortly thereafter. Legacy with one on the Fantasy. And the push from Nip has completely evaporated, Jesse. 2 players remain with still over half of the round to go.
Yeah, they were looking for an early rush in. I love the Aurora strat to try to counter some of these angles and still getting some value out of it. But I think with this Clash on the other side of things, it's just gotten so difficult. Kurt's expertly using this Clash rework. Peeks out for his second kill of the round and no hope for Wizard to try to win that 1v4. Big round from Los to start things off. Obviously, Cafe defense, expected to see them get some rounds, but still confident. I love the way they were able to bring out that Clash. A standard strategy, I would say, from NIP, going in fast, not taking a lot of map control, going for red. This is the one bomb site that they never had to attack in their previous game against Liquid last week on Cafe. So a bit of a new test. Los maybe didn't know how NIP were going to do attacking that site, took a bit of a gamble, and it paid off, being able to stop that push in its tracks. I do also want to quickly touch on the bans, we haven't had the chance to just yet. All of it very standard, with the sole exception of the Capitao. Typically not an operator we see banned. Most defending teams will go double shields on this map. Los banned that Capitao as a direct response to Cons, who has been playing a lot of Capitao on this map, especially here on the bottom floor for Kitchen.
Not banning both shields isn't abnormal, as you pointed out, though it is a common ban. Blitz was brought immediately by Nip in round number 1 and stormed through the hallway towards Train. Did not find much value. I think Pino was actually the first to die, if memory serves correctly. So, I mean, that's the way it goes. If you go for a rush strat, if you try to get into the bomb site in the first minute, there's going to be some things that you simply overlook. On a map like Cafe, we see, especially on this bottom floor bomb site, teams go for broke and not worry about a deeper or more complex roam clear, or even just simply mapping out where these defenders may be. And we call it a very linear attack. Lots of times where that linear nature of the attack is designed to catch them off guard. If you're not catching them off guard and they're ready and braced for impact, they can swat you away very quickly, which is what happened with Los. Now, as was pointed out on the desk, Los struggles are on attack, and Cafe, like so many maps, is quite a comfortable place for the defenders. So it should be a relatively strong first half for Los, but anything is possible.
Yeah, I mean, you say that and you're not wrong. Los are the worst attacking team in South America with a 30% win rate, but their defensive win rate is only 40%. So this is not exactly a strong site. It is maybe the stronger side.
Well, okay. Now, to my point, if you exclude their victory over Loud, in all of their other matches, Los averages 2 rounds a game. 2 successful rounds a game. So, I mean, those numbers are going to be underwater. There's just no way around it. Whether it's attacking or defending, they are obviously suffering some fools here. Bit of a slower paced round because we've already got a minute in, Jesse, and there hasn't been any contact.
Yeah, I mean, standard with Kitchen on Cafe, right? You like to play the bottom floor as much as you can.
Through the 2 times they had to attack it previously against Team Liquid, NIP failed both times. Getting an opening pick certainly will help, as Fantasy finds one looking for the second on the window, and there it goes. Farius goes down as well. Looks like they might just keep swinging this window, Parker. They need to get this kill back.
I'm amazed at the resources that they're expending over here. You've still got a clash in play. Now, the problem with this bomb site, as you pointed out, is when teams do opt to full clear, their execute is typically quite strong. And look at the tools that NIP has at their disposal, right? They've got Rotera drones, they've got Twitch drones, they've got Candelas, and then you've got the anti-flanking gridlock and the ability to play vertical from above. The biggest thing about going down numbers for Los is that you cannot really contend with that top floor hold if NIP chooses to use it. And Pino is in Buck's office, which is right over top of this bomb site. The best case scenario for Los is that you either send somebody upstairs in an unexpected way, but with an echo and a smoke and a clash, I think that's unlikely, or you just try to rebuff them with as much utility as possible. It's going to get harder, though, as down goes Kurtz. Arthur and Legacy are the last 2 alive. No toxic babes to be thrown out by Los. NIP has yet to lose a single player, and now it's Arthur off-site with Legacy sitting inside the bomb site. Arthur picking away at 1, but still so much more to do with 20 seconds left on the clock. Still guarding over towards Whiskey, putting an awful lot on the shoulders of Legacy, who's now actually vacated the bomb site. He's sitting over by Bakery with the Yokai that is unable to find Cons. 2 big kills for Arthur as down goes Wizard. Cons has to fall off of his position. It gives opportunity for the clash to come back. Will there be proper coverage? Oh my, a sloppy engagement. Arthur just missing the head of Hates. Now it's up to Legacy to save the round. The cross will have to be good. They let him slip through, but the timer was extended as the defuse kit was planted. Wow. And NIP survived the round despite a very strong effort from Los.
Way too close for comfort if you're NIP. That round looked in the bag. We saw a double entry from Fantasy, who has so far in South America been the best entry player in the entire league with 10 opening picks and only 5 opening deaths. So that looked like it was starting them off strong. They then naded out the Clash shield, which was a huge boon for them, because once you take that out, the Clash becomes almost completely useless, only a sidearm to her name. But still, we saw Arthur making some big swings. They got a couple of picks back, and then really odd play around the plant for NIP. You know, they started off trying to go for that diffuse kit down, but they were in sight for a long time before they started holding F. That meant that those Yokai cams had a really good opportunity to simply win the round off of time. You saw how effective they were able to deny that plant. They delayed it for so long. And then even after the plant went down, I mean, the cover was very, very tight. The Echo pushing up the end there could have gotten that final frag and made it a huge disaster for NIP. So I want to see them a little bit cleaner on some of these plants, but end of the day, I mean, a 5v2 advantage, you can't be too upset about that, and they do convert it. Disaster averted if you're NIP, but that's not as clean as I think they would have wanted.
No, I mean, when you look at a 5v2, which it was for about 10 seconds prior to Arthur getting the first pick for his team, I think there was like 41 seconds or something along those lines left on the clock, you really can't be that upset if you're NIP. You're thinking, okay, we've got this in the bag. Yeah, we lost one, but whatever. You know, we took down the smoke. The Clash is still in play. We know where the shield is. This should be a cakewalk. The only thing that we need to worry about is where those Yokais might rest. Which at that point, you've got 4 people on the board to search for it. I will say, I was a little bit confused as to where the coverage was in the back of the bomb site over by Freezer. I mean, you know that the Clash is located in that area. At best, you have a 1v4. At worst, it's a 2v4 because the Echo is still in play somewhere. But I also don't think NIP had properly droned out the front of Bakery in quite some time. This was a fully committed back take. It all worked around those brown stairs, Whiskey, and then over towards Freezer. They felt if somebody's playing over by Bakery, they can't make enough of an impact, especially in that little nook that you saw plant in, because you're relatively well covered from Bakery.
We'll go to reading for the 3rd round. You'll note that Los are choosing not to go to the top floor. That's in part due to that Castle Azami ban, I should say, which makes holding piano and this top floor quite a bit more difficult. Doesn't mean there's not going to be players to fight top floor. Most of them have fallen off at this point, but you still have Legacy and Arthur that are locking things down up above. Legacy just playing white. Arthur, I should say. Legacy over here in Cocktail. So getting some information. Doesn't have the cleanest route back to site, but I assume he'll drop the hatch as soon as he deems it necessary. Playing with these nitros is going to be the name of the game for Los. Can they find a pick after conceding all this ground?
Another shield will come in, and using that intel provided by Cons, a nade will go off, but do no damage to Legacy as the battle of the shields kind of plods along. Another nade now going out, and Legacy taking a bit more damage as 3 separate players from NIP stare down the Clash's location over in Cocktail, pinging away desperately so that the rest of the team can try to play off of this. As you pointed out, this is a reading defense. It looked like an explosive went off, but did nothing for it. That was Hertz now finding one. Wizard is down for the count. They lost the Clash and Legacy, but a great stall from above, Jesse, and enough time maybe for Los to hang on.
Yeah, that time waste is massive. Farius not getting anything down on the bottom floor, so they've got 30 seconds to convert this, although a second pick from Hates will make it a bit easier.
Look at that. Shooting through the floor, Fantasy has been dropped, and this is going to be a tough follow-up. Kurtz will get it. First with a Nitro Cell, now doing it with a gun in hand. Time for one of those Toxic Babes to go off. Arthur still has 1 left in pocket with 10 seconds remaining. Farius has been chased down those brown stairs, and he's waiting for the call as Cons is getting Diffuser down. Hates is the only one to cover, but amidst the plume of the smoke, they haven't seen him. They find him at the last second, and just like that, Los sweep through the NIP offense. 1-2, very quickly done. And Los answers back and regains the lead.
And honestly, Parker, it felt a lot like round number 2, where we're going quite slowly on the side of NIP. They're having a lot of problems getting that diffuse get down early. Obviously, that time, the time waste with the Clash was the biggest issue. I really thought that they played it well on the side of Los. Kurtz as well, late round, making some plays to go back up to the top floor after getting that early pick with the Nitro Cell. He has been very, very strong for Los through this game so far, so great to see him stepping up. Operator ban's going through, and there goes the Clash ban. I do like to see that. We saw how often Los were bringing it every single round, so they're going to have to change up their game plan. But I think they're okay changing up their game plan, Parker. They just banned out the Bravo, which is going to allow them to abuse some of these operators, especially Maestro. This is such a cool tech from Los because there's 4 playable bomb sites on Cafe. They're waiting to go top floor until they can ban out that Brava. Otherwise, if they played it in the first 3 rounds, well, they would have had to play it with Bravo on the board, and Maestro against a Bravo, obviously a very difficult task. So smart operator bans with Los, and really abusing this new ban system to change their site rotation and get the most value.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Cafe's always been a very flexible map, and even though we do tend to see these 3 site rotations get, I get a bit entrenched, teams have options here. You know, it's not that long ago that Cocktail was actually one of the least favored bomb sites in North America, at least. Admittedly, I don't have these stats from Brazil several seasons ago, but there was a period of time where NA in particular completely abandoned that top floor and would start with the kitchen floor as your main bomb site, or maybe reading, and then flex over to mining and dining. Anywho, again, like to talk about, for just a second, Los' struggles on attack. You very wisely pointed out that they haven't been much better when defending, but they've picked up 2 rounds. Again, excluding their victory over Loud, in the matches that Los has lost, they have averaged just 2 rounds per loss. Los is already there. Now, I know there are some people thinking, perfect, enough time for them to lose the next 6 in a row, but that's not the point that I'm getting at. The point is that Los stylistically is matching up quite well to NIP. Maybe that first round was a bit of a gimme because NIP decided to go very aggressive in round number 1, which isn't always the best idea. But ultimately, Los handled it very, very well. And we've seen some improvements from the last time they played that Los is acting upon the things that didn't work out so well last week.
Couple of nades coming into Legacy, playing up inside a Cocktail. Bruno this push still coming piano side. That's Hate who makes the move, gets 2 picks on the entry before being removed by Arthur. That's a massive play, seemingly just solo, walking in on the Ash to boost himself up to a 7-3 stat line. Where most of his teammates are on the roof. Hate's just said, screw it, I'm gonna make a play. I see the gap, and I mean, it pays off. Not only does he get 2 picks, but he kills the Echo, which is a huge operator for Los in the late round. And they're not going to have that going forward to the rest of this round. That's going to be huge. Now the question kind of shifts. Who on Los can make a move to re-equalize? This is not a position they're happy being in. Somebody's got to make a play.
Well, I guess your question was just answered there, Jesse, wasn't it? You've got the guy with 1,000,000 bullets in that LMG. Kurtz gets caught walking down White Hallway, completely unaware of the rappel play. And now it's Arthur's turn to jiggle peek for intel, and Wizard punishes him. It's all up to Legacy. Got a DMR, he's got an ACOG, long enough range, but he's going to get splattered by Pino, and this is a dogfight between these teams. Now, if you're NIP, Jesse, I don't know if I'm particularly happy about this one. You come into this matchup sitting in the top 4. You've got some very impressive victories over, frankly, 2 top teams. I mean, in the very first week, it took you into overtime, but you beat Black Dragons, the team who has a new logo, still same organization, different look, and different results, frankly. This is a team that's currently sitting in 2nd here in the South America League. Immediately after that, 24 hours later, NIP defeats Furia, another team that admittedly is not as dominant in inter-regional play as they do tend to be internationally, but still quite an accomplishment, especially for a NIP team that was in the basement of Brazil for much of last year. If you're looking at a team like Los, who sit in 9th place, your thoughts are, yeah, these guys suck. We're gonna win. That's how most teams are going to approach this map. And I mean, you talk to teams, you talk to players, they won't always be quite so candid, but NIP are looking at this as, okay, we've got 3 points. Let's move on. Let's see what's, you know, coming on play day number 6 and beyond. The fact that Los has already taken 2 rounds off of you is not concerning, but if Los end this first half with 3 or 4 rounds, then I start to sweat a little bit if I'm NIP, even though NIP does go to the defender side next.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, NIP are expecting this to be one of their easier games. It's not been an easy game so far, but end of the day, 2-2 attacking on Cafe. Plenty of game to play before you get worried about the situation. We'll go back down and say actually the only site other than top floor that NIP were able to win. So Los thinking that last round was a bit of a mistake, that they can rein things in a little bit. And I think if they don't just double swing restaurant window and lose 2 bodies off rip, they probably have a much better shot at holding this defense. So I like that decision from them. They're also roaming quite a bit more. Kurtz and Arthur, sometimes 2 of the more passive players on Los, choosing to play up on that top floor as a bit of a duo roam. They're getting droned out now. If Fantasy or anybody else on NIP can clean up these kills, we see the track come out now onto Kurtz. That could be a big advantage.
It's a relatively early death mark. We see a lot of these teams with Deimos like to keep them for the post plant, but if you're using them early, it would suggest that you're either having some big struggles on a roam clear, which is entirely possible. There is 1 minute off the board, and there are 3 drones left for NIP, so clearly they are struggling. And if you look at the lineup from Los, there's no Mozzie, there's no Mute, so you don't need to worry about gadgets taking your drones. It's just poor positioning by NIP and Los catching them and punishing them. You're going to use this Deimos alongside Cons to follow up. This is an interesting push at the moment for NIP, who seem to be just patiently waiting as another death mark goes out.
Yeah, I don't think they're 100% sure they cleared out the roamers, but everybody has fallen off at this point. Cons has eaten a ton of damage thanks to a Nitro Cell from Outlaw. And that might be impactful, right? We've got Goyo on the board, we got Smoke on the board. There's a lot of these late round damage dealing operators inside of Los that can take away that HP. And when you're low health, especially carrying the diffuser on Cons, that's going to make it really, really awkward. I wouldn't mind if he honestly gives the defuse kit over to somebody else, just because it's likely going to be those toxic Babes to try to stop the plant, as well as those Goyos. Now, if you can pop them ahead of time, as Pino is, that solves a bit of the problem, but still something to watch out for as this team tries to make an entry.
All exits kill number 1 onto Wizard. Cons follows up on Nefarious. Both teams losing 1, and it's the Smoke to go first for Los. You talked about these final moment operators and a very good close quarters combat lineup for Los. But they're going to struggle as they've lost one of their best operators in that position. And Farius is yet to find a kill through 5 rounds at this point, too. Good news, though. You've got an Ella with the Scorpion who can... Never mind, she died. So that's just like that. NIP has taken out your 2 best anchor operators at this present point in time. You have to hope that the Goyo of Legacy can do something, and that if you've got those Goyo canisters in sight, you can keep NIP at bay. Diffuser goes down. Los seemingly unaware of this as they are far removed from the action, trapped by Hates' Aurora, and will have to struggle to get back to the bomb site. A take from above as Outlaw will go up there. Legacy dies, NIP in full control, and NIP yet to lead so far in this match. All they need to do is find Arthur, and the lead will be theirs. He finds the Blitz, but Pino finds him in turn, and 2 in a row gives NIP the lead on Cafe.
Bit of a strange push coming out from NIP. It's very odd to see a team go full top down on Cafe and then have 0 hard breach for the freezer hatch. But I guess if you can rush down the guy inside of VIP and then make the breach through the soft wall to get into freezer, that's just as good of a way to get into sight as any. And we saw that coming out from NIP, using that blitz to make that entry point, make sure VIP couldn't be held down, clearing out that important player inside of VIP. That was Farius.
Often you'll see a Warden there. If it had been a Warden, that could have been a bit more dangerous if he'd been able to counter that blitz, but it wasn't. It was a smoke this time around, and so NIP got the better of him that time. Bit of a weird engagement with Kurtz in sight too, but nice to see NIP getting that third attack on the board to be oh so important on a map like Cafe, and good to see Cons still thriving on the shields. Again, Los only chose to ban one shield out of the 3 available, so Cons was able to flex over to a lot of these different options. It's at about a 48% pick rate on shields on attack so far this season, up 12% from stage 2 last season. So he's been really trying to lean into that for NIP in stage 1. And I think you can see the results just based on the games that NIP have been winning.
Absolutely. In the final round, so we'll see if the bans that you've talked about quite a bit, and for good reason, as they've had a pretty pronounced impact here on the game, if they'll change up when Nip now gets to ban attackers and vice versa. Final round of the first half about to go underway. For those wondering why we're talking about the operator bans, bit of a cursed skin combination there on the gridlock, by the way. The F90 with the plasma pink equipment and gear, and then
I like it.
And then the black ice regular skin. I mean, that's just a straight up flex. Being able to have the black ice and plasma pink, that's you just showing off at that point. Even if it doesn't look good, who cares?
Well, looking good or not, NIP looking to make this a 4-2 split. Since banning the Clash, they have been flawless on their attacks. Top floor being held quite heavily, though. I mean, we see Kurtz up here inside a bar, already taking a ton of damage, though. He's getting lit up and will have to make his retreat to fall off and the next time he sees any bit of pressure. Up top, he does have Arthur and Legacy playing with him, so he's not completely alone, but under the skylight, he's not in a safe position. Wizard just waiting and watching. Shoots the default cam in the meantime. If they know his position, they could get a really free pick, but I don't think they realize that he's stuck around. They might assume that he's dropped Parker.
Let's see if they'll be able to drone it out. We talked last round about how Nip was having struggles gaining intel. This time, they don't have access to a Deimos to bail themselves out of a bad spot. Kurtz is still here, and he goes for the shot. He manages to hit it. He's a bit delayed, but Nip doubles up, triples up, some would say, as it's Outlaw and Farius, his last 2 alive. Outlaw is a target dummy on those red stairs. He gets swatted away, leaving Farius with 1 kill as he heads for the hills. Over a minute still to go for Nip. They have the case. They have a shield still up. There's utility. You've got a smoke. You've got some flashes. You've still got the boogie drones from Pino's Ram as well. Honestly, Nip can very easily hold on. I would be shocked to see Farius pull this off. But again, we have seen clutches far bigger than this so far this stage, let alone in Brazil.
Yeah, but I mean, you dream of having this much util in a 3v1. There should be no way, especially with Cons up on the Monty. Trackstinger's giving away Farius' position. He is in a good spot to deny a plant, but they should know exactly where he's at.
Yeah, I mean, they just got that intel on White Stairs. It's only good for about 5 to 10 seconds, but you still have the general whereabouts, and when you're inside that laundry room, there's not really many places you can go. They had him pinned down, and he was fighting for his life. Despite their strong start, things got a little bit worse for Los as they closed out the first half. Nip not just taking the lead, but extending it. And I said the warning point for Nip was if Los was able to take 3 or 4 rounds, they did not muster anything. And I know I made a joke when it was 1 round for Nip and 2 for Los that, hey, you know, Nip could win the next 6 in a row. Los, again, statistically, the weakest attacking team, and now they have to attack on Cafe. It is not outside of possibility, outside the realm of possibility, that Nip streaks their way to the very end here. Those were some strong results. What's going to happen now as the operator bans have been picked? 2 shield operator bans from the side of Nip. Not sure you're very surprised by that, but I know you're going to want to talk about it.
Yeah, I had a thought about Los. I was watching Brazil, or South America, I should say, last week, and I had a thought about this team. I don't think they are the best shield team in South America or the world, obviously, right? Like one of the worst non-shield teams. They seem to really struggle when they can't put Arthur on one of these shields to present forward. And, you know, we see it NIP targeting both shields. Almost every team has banned perma shields up against Los this stage. So it seems like other teams are reading into that a little bit as well. This team relies quite heavily on the shields. There's no surprise there. I also think you can fall back to defense and just say, listen, both times that Los ran a clash, they won. The 3 rounds they didn't bring a clash, they ended up losing. So there's a little bit of a parallel there as well. Defensive band's pretty standard as well. Mira, not always common, leaves up the ever-powerful Azami for Hates, and so he'll immediately start to jump on that. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Parker. The opportunity to win this game has... it hasn't left, but it's gotten a lot more difficult. You wanted to go up early in the first half if you're low, so now it's not going to happen that way. You got to really dig yourself out of a hole.
Yeah, not great for the map that you're on, not great for the team that you're playing up against. Talked after those first 3 rounds when Los was up 2-1, how they had shown some improvement and they'd read into the executes from Nip, and then that promptly vanished. Round number 4 onwards, there were a number of kills from the side of Nip onto unsuspecting targets of Los, and again, Nip was info-starved through most of those rounds. You know, whether it was the Deimos in round number 5, whether it was just low drone count in rounds 4 and 6, this was a team that was struggling to gain information, but they were using the shield so effectively. When you have a Monty on the board, you have a giant drone that is relatively impervious to most gadgets the defenders have. So if Cons is walking in and giving calls, as we could see from the yellow pings and the red pings that were coming out from both drones and from the players, Nip was still gaining information from that. Los was completely lost on where the advance from Nip was coming. Now it's going to be a little bit easier for Nip, though, as they play on as defenders for the remainder of this match. Eight's under fire very early into what could be an execute, but still half the round to go, so plenty of time for Los to hang on.
Yeah, a good way to clear out Piano. They didn't have many good answers to these Kivas, but they have forced out the Azami. Now they lose the opening pick, Outlaw going down to Pino, but Arthur's gotten a lot of space. He holds the defuse kit. If he dies, he's really starting to toss his team into the bin, but he's making space and he's drawing attention, which is allowing Farius to get some ground as well.
Brief respite now from the madness as quick burst will get them in closer to the bomb site. Pino, the first casualty. Cons will answer that one right back, and now the shield chasing Kurtz away as he runs and heads for the hills. He finds the kill. Los cleaning up at this moment. Nip, after losing Pino, have almost completely folded. All up to Wizard and Fantasy, both of whom right now, stat lines not the strongest. Top fraggers on Nip, both in the ground at this current point in time. And now it's all about target prioritization for Arthur as he winds his way in, and he gets out-dueled by Fantasy, who finds yet another. It's him and Kurtz in a 1v1. He'll have to pick his poison here. He's expecting a close-range engagement, and Fantasy makes it a reality with a 3K inside, a back bar to secure the round for Nip. What a clutch!
Big moves from Fantasy, the young player at NIP. I say young, I mean, he's been in the tier 1 scene for a while now. I still remember when he went pro back in 2021, a huge, hot, young pickup for Furia back in the day, actually. He went to many different events, 6 international tournaments, in fact. He's been very experienced, but never really found his shot on a top-level team in South America. It felt like he always had the skill, he always had the talent, but maybe sometimes lacked the discipline to get a spot on those top organizations like FaZe, like W7M, like Liquid. He never really found his place. Then he got moved over to NIP, felt like he finally had a bit of a shot. Not that NIP have been that big org in recent years, but with him being on this squad, being added to with Wizard and Hates, Cons, and Pino, feels like now they're starting to click. You know, it really feels like he is starting to lead this team as a big fragger, and obviously hasn't been the focal point of the team so far in this game, but you can always rely on him to step up. When you need a big play, Fantasy's the guy that NIP often rely on.
I mean, I remember the days of him being considered one of the most promising prospects in the entire region, and one who was very highly coveted. You know, he never really found, at least to this point, success on one of the top 4 teams in Brazil, but he was always talked about as a potential pickup. Now, obviously, as with all regions, Jesse, there are players who are exceptionally skilled in the server, and they never really get picked up by the top teams. And you have to wonder, maybe is it just that there's, you know, an elegant way to solve the role issue? Maybe they have an off-putting personality, maybe they're argumentative or difficult, or there's some bad blood between players. We can't really speak to that. But it has been a little bit puzzling why Fantasy has never been picked up. He seems to have found a good home here on NIP, and, well, he's thriving after that 3K, but let's not ignore the fact that, as I said, his numbers were underwater before clutch. So, Relying on Hates, who himself, Jesse, was a very highly coveted pickup, is not a bad strategy for Nip. They just need a little more out of Fantasy consistently.
I don't think you're going to be too upset about anybody's performance after today so far. We'll choose to go down to the bottom floor of Kitchen, which means we're going to see probably a good 2 minutes in this round before any action really occurs. Most of right into that, they're bringing so much soft breach. Obviously, the Ram, the Buck, all being brought. Kurt as well, the Buck with the DMR, not a super common choice, but we see it from time to time, especially if you want to be holding some longer angles. We'll see where Kurtz ends up when this push comes down, if he does just play the Vert, or if he tries to maybe push in through Garage or maybe over towards Bake. He's got a couple of different options there if somebody else tries to play up above. Loads of time to work with as well. They've got Util still to clear, but I like their tools. Everything is set up pretty nicely for Los. Handling Fantasy and BIP could be an issue, but they've got a Blitz to rush them down. They've got a lot of flashes. Yeah, it's a Warden, so we saw how that worked for them last round, but they've got answers to these problems.
Just try to ride out the remainder of this round at this point if you're Nip. Again, you've got a Ram, you've got a Buck, you've got lots of options on that middle floor over top of the bomb site. Buck in Buck's office, this time not running with the C8, but instead running with that Hammers, the DMR. Outlaw is the first casualty for Los, and Arthur takes some damage too as he's found his way inside of the bomb site. Hates picked apart as he had tried to pounce on the Blitz. Arthur now safe passage to go for a relatively default plant. Darius taking down Pino gives the advantage to Los. As Nip now suffering through this, but they've been in this position before. Wizard and Fantasy last alive. Fantasy looking for yet another clutch, but he won't pull it off. Farius is there to shut him down, and a third round will appear in the column of Los, denying match point for Nip.
Yeah, beautiful little way to hold on to that bottom floor in the, I say post plant, not quite a post plant, in the execute, I should say. I loved the coverage. You saw how much work they were able to do from up above. NIP made the choice to give them that top floor for the whole, the entirety of that round. You know, they never wanted to contest them up above. They thought they had a strong enough hold down in towards the site, and maybe that was the wrong decision in hindsight. I think Los really abused the setup that NIP were presenting to them. No defensive strategy is free from gaps. Obviously, there's always going to be some way that the attackers can exploit your setup, and I thought Los did a great job of that. So nice to see some answers coming out on the attacking side. No real problems with that push. Again, maybe NIP didn't present the most amount of issues, but Los solved everything they needed to. They managed to drop down through the freezer. They managed to have that vertical angle, which got them a lot of good work. I love the decision-making from Arthur on the Blitz, from being able to dodge those toxic waves. They thought it was going to go over towards Sinks. Instead, it went over towards Coffee. So just moving around quite a bit, catching NIP a little off guard. Still not an easy game, but I mean, that's how it starts, right?
Right, and I mean, I do wonder what the exact outcome of that round would have been if the coverage onto Hates wasn't as good as it was, right? He was the one best positioned to deal with Arthur on the Blitz. Arthur was down inside the bomb site, not far from the bomb chassis, which is where Hates was playing. Hates obviously dying to that vertical presence that we talked about only a couple seconds previously, that's enabled by both the Ram and the Buck. If Hates manages to kill Arthur, that means you drop the diffuser inside of the Viper Pit. Somebody needs to go retrieve it. It also means that at that point, unless you immediately refrag Hates, he's able to find a safer place inside the bomb site away from the prying eyes on that floor above him. That completely changes the course of the round. So the coverage on that middle floor doesn't look very sexy, but it enables the execute to go off as smoothly as it did for Los, and it's ultimately what stopped Nip from being able to pull off a successful defense. So kudos to that vertical play. I know that some people don't like utility play, but it can be pretty impactful. It's a great entry from Los, by the way. Where has this team been for the entirety of the stage? They find 3 unanswered kills. Hate's the only one on the board for Nip at the moment. It's him and Fantasy against 4 from Los. They're outnumbered 2-1. Those numbers will continue to dwindle. Fantasy finds 2 kills, and he's narrowed it to a point where Hates just needs 2 more and a full house for Nip. Will secure them the round. I imagine there'll be a brief pause as there's still 90 seconds left. And Outlaw and Legacy will have to figure out what the next steps are for Los.
5 drones alive too. Not sure how many of those are drivable on the side of Los, but if they can hunt down Hates, that's going to be a huge boon for them. They do have positioning in towards the site, right? Outlaw is inside of reading, but Legacy with the fuse kit just hopping in the building now. They are not together, these two players. If Hates drops, he might be able to find one of them isolated. They should know he's above, broadly. I mean, that's a good guess from them, but they won't know exactly where. This hash drop could be a surprise.
Teases it and makes some noise as he hits the ground. There's still plenty of time and utility for Los to drone this if they so choose.
He got off.
Hates has just given his position away. Legacy was the one on that defuse kit. Outlaw, the one to get the final kill. And Los find 2 rounds in a row on attack on Cafe. We've got ourselves a bit of a ball game, don't we, Jesse? That's baseball, by the way. I know Edmonton doesn't have any professional sports teams, but that is a baseball term. That's where you somebody throws the ball at you and you hit it with a piece of wood.
Legacy getting off the plant there scared me a little bit, but realizing that there was so much time on the clock and that it's better to take the 2v1 engagement rather than try to gamble on the 1v1 ended up being the window on that Amaru to start opening up some picks. And then Arthur had the defuse kit, didn't even enter behind his team for a while, knew that the objective was not to get that defuse kit down as fast as possible. You know, they were rushing.
Well, I'm waiting to see as we get into the final moments of the phase what operator swaps we have from Los, because Adokabi, Zofia, and Graham are not bad, but I'm curious if they make any changes. Swaps immediately coming in, but they'll go for gadgetry, which is huge, right? You see that there's a Valkyrie on the board, so they're going to bring an IQ, and they're going to keep the Adokabi, which is the right call. As long as you can keep Kurtz alive and get him to hack into those cams, you're going to get some serious value here. Look at all the goodies that have been brought from Nip that can be easily spotted by IQ and then also dealt with by the Dokkaebi. And of course, flank watch is almost always a necessity because of the stairwells inside of this map. That's why teams favor Gridlock so often, but Nomad can do the job in a trick as well.
Yeah, better for the runouts for the Nomad too. That's why we see Arthur putting some of those outside the building. Not bringing a shield, back-to-back rounds on the side of Los as well, trying to make me eat my words about their non-shield play earlier, and they've got a couple opportunities. Spotting Cons down inside of VIP. This is going to be massive. They can work a pick. Maybe the Dokkaebi, Kurtz could be lurking for that. Maybe the IQ as well, whoever might be hunting for this player. Even if they don't hunt him down, that information is going to be massive. A little surprised that NIP ban out the Ying too, by the way. That was only run that single time for the rush. You don't often see rush strategies like that replicated. So maybe NIP reading into some opportunities, some options that they'll have in future rounds. But I didn't think the Ying was their biggest problem over the first 3 rounds of this half.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I didn't see a ton of success from that Ying either, just to echo your comments. And I mean, Ying has been a staple for both of these teams, and frankly, unless we are missing something, and I mean, both Leo and Jack will be more than delighted to rub it in our faces should we have missed something. I don't know about this Ying ban. It does not seem as optimal, but maybe they've changed up their strategy because they know a Ying is on the board. This was something that was talked about a lot when Maverick first came out. We would say, oh, Maverick doesn't really have such an impact, blah, blah, blah. And then you talk to somebody like Fabian who says, it's not about Maverick's immediate impact. It's the threat of a Maverick being available that causes us to change our strategy ahead of time. Maybe the same thinking is applied to this Ying ban.
Util being put out for Piano at the moment. Outlaw's going to cross off some angles, but there's a Warden back there. Won't be able to see through the Sens walls, but through the smokes that also got tossed, he will. Couple of bits of damage go down to Outlaw and Arthur, but they don't find any frags for it. They need to make a move with 45 seconds. Their util is starting to wear out.
Yeah, they're buried a bit inside a Piano and Cigar at the moment. Outlaw and Arthur on low HP is nothing abnormal. They've actually been below 100 HP or 100% of their HP. For most of these rounds, frankly, they still seem to do decently well. Maybe not Outlaw, but Arthur for sure. First kill comes in from Kurtz. Hates answers back. Diffuser in the hands of Arthur looked like it was about to go down. And now a fight onto the window as Fantasy drops away. Hates could have stimmed him, but he dies instead. Nip in terrible shape, Jesse. This Los attack is just so suffocating. Arthur getting Diffuser down, and now it's up to Pino and Wizard to claw their way out of this position. Los will not allow them a foothold nor finger hold, as it's a tie game. Los with 3 rounds in a row.
Man, Arthur has really stepped up big for Los. He has historically been one of the worst players on this team. He is statistically lowest on KDR. He was minus 11 coming into this game. Now to be putting up such big numbers, and it looks like he's playing with a lot more confidence, both in the way that he's calling. He is the captain of this team. He is their IGL, and also in the way that he's playing in the server, right? In the last couple of rounds, we saw those decisions coming out from him. We're going to go for a rush. We're going to go for this top down. The plan is being executed exactly how Los want it to be executed. There's no hesitation in that play. But also in that round, you saw the individual play coming out from Arthur, deciding I'm going to push up into bar. My team is stalling out a little bit in piano. I see a bit of a gap. I'm going to go as my team pushes piano as well. Gets a couple of big picks, is able to put that defuse kit onto the ground, really finding impact for Los in a way that he kind of hasn't for this team in the past, you know? It's been a long time criticism of Arthur that, you know, maybe he's a strong IGL, maybe he's a strong shield player, but he doesn't really stand up in the fragging department. He's kind of one of those hyper-passive support players that doesn't get a whole lot of picks, but today he's showing he can hang with the big dogs. 9 and 6 is probably the most impressive stat line I've seen from him in a very long time.
No, I completely agree. I mean, Arthur had a strong start, I want to say, a couple years back, and was somebody that playing on shields, and frankly playing the shields quite well, Monty being the one operator that is so vivid in my mind. There was a lot of hope and a lot of promise that he could do well, but then slowly but surely his stats started to decrease, and then he got moved around, and he's been a bit of a journeyman ever since. But he shows flexibility. Right now, every team in every region needs, at minimum, one good shield player. It is a requirement with the meta being what it is. Just so happens that Los has a great one on their hands. Cons isn't terrible either on the side of Nip, who is usually the shield player for NIP, but I mean, Arthur right now, the way he's able to enter, the way he's supported by those drones, and the way that he takes up space on the entry, pushing roamers back and funneling kills into the rest of his team is great. Or maybe he just decides to dive into the bomb site. Out go the smokes. He's at the halfway point of the diffuser. Hates down for the count, but he's a doc. Stemming himself right back up is exactly what he's designed to do. The round immediately shortened as diffuser goes down, and nobody seems to be aware of Wizard. He does his magic disappearing trick, and he's inside of the corner. Hurts with the first kill for Los. It's a 4v4. Diffuser still running away. That does not benefit Nip whatsoever, and Los is cleaning them up. Hino, in a desperate attempt to get to the bomb site, is cut down by Farius. And Los has won 4 in a row, and it's their turn on match point. They denied Nip match point 15 minutes ago, and they have taken it now for themselves.
What a way to turn things around, Los. We talked about how their attacks have been poor, how they've struggled sometimes with and without shields, but they have proven everybody wrong in this game. Their attacks have just been so well put together. And I mean, you look at that round, it's another rush play. It's another fast, objective-focused round where they get in, they don't even get kills. They plant 5v5. There's no response from NIP. Wizards in train, and yeah, sure, he gets the first pick, but that pick is after the defuse kit has already been planted. Arthur doesn't care if he dies to Wizard at that point. He already did his job, put the defuse kit on the ground. He is more than happy to let his teammates trade out those kills. You gotta wonder where the response is from NIP, if they're maybe not so ready for these pushes. It's odd because of them banning the Ying, the fact they took that attack timeout, they should be expecting this. This is not a new playbook from Los. They have historically run a lot of these fast, aggressive pocket strategies where they go for these rushes, but it just doesn't feel like NIP have any answers at all to what Los are putting up in this game. It really feels like they have just been caught off guard, and now they are scrambling, Parker. It feels like they are absolutely lost in this match.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Nip is obviously not the team that won SI many, many years ago amidst the lockdowns. It's a completely different roster. They've changed up the players extensively. Musi's gone, Psycho's gone, Kamikaze, Julia, all these players long-term are gone. The identity of Nip has changed, but since that SI win, whether it's just, you know, the championship hangover that comes about, or maybe they just caught lightning in a bottle because of the meta being what it was. I mean, Los as an organization literally made the finals of Atlanta, and many people consider that to be a fluke. The org that was picked up from Team 1 also made the finals, if you recall, at the Mexico major that we worked as well. So there's been some consistency here for the org, but teams do fall off. Nip right now sit in 4th place, and they've had some very good looks and some very dominant performances in this stage, but consistency issues have plagued this organization, irrespective of the players, for quite some time. It's just unfortunate for their fans that it's coming against a team that is in 9th place again. You can tell from the looks on some of the players' faces that Nip were not expecting this performance out of them, and certainly not this performance out of Los, because when you're looking at going up against the 9th place team, you only have a single victory, you're thinking, yeah, this one's basically a bye, let's move on to the next match. If that was Nip's mindset, it has unfortunately let them down, as they now are a minute and 40 away from giving Los all 3 points.
Someone's got to be a hero on NIP. You cannot allow Los to set up the push as they have for the last 4 rounds. If they get exactly what they want, they're going to go for a strong execute. You have not been able to stop their executes. You've got to deal damage in the early round, but I'm looking at this defense. I'm just not sure that I see it. They keep the freezer hatch closed for a little while thanks to those Zoto canisters from Fantasy. That's nice, but the freezer hatch should still get opened eventually. Only stalling that out. They won't be able to deny it entirely. The vert play is once again still strong coming out from Farius and from Kurtz, the exact same players we saw with the exact same operators. They are good when it comes to these executes. I don't see anybody from NIP making a move at the moment, so they're going to be just trying to hold things down. They've got good util, they've got Goyos, they've got Smoke, they've got a zombie as well, but this didn't stop Los last time. What's going to be different about this defense? NIP need to have an answer, and with strong drones in sight, strong utility, and good crossfires on the side of Los, I'm not sure what it's going to be.
It's anybody's match, and it's certainly anybody's round at this point, but Los is to lose in terms of the count. Suddenly, Nip has found a 6th gear, and down goes every single player on the side of Los except for Farius, who has an incredible shot on the cons as he vaults in the top floor. Now, 3 more targets to be found, and he's running behind on the clock, Jesse. He works his way down red stairs. They know his exact positioning. One over in Small Bake, one over towards Whiskey. He can just easily hold the cross, and that's exactly what they do. A shame for Nips fans that they come alive at the final seconds of this round and this final seconds of the regulation half that we just saw, because now you forfeited a single point. The best you're going to do is get 2 points by winning in overtime. Nip has been here before. Again, going back to the very first week, they toppled Black Dragons 8-6 at a time when I don't think everybody thought Black Dragons would be as dominant as they are. Black Dragons at the moment are sitting in 2nd place. So Los or Nip having a victory over them is huge. But now, struggling against Los, this does not look like the same team that won in 14 rounds against BD.
Attackers need to locate and defuse. Starting on the defense is NIP, usually a boon for Cafe, but not so today. It was a solid defense. I was worried about who was going to step up. It ended up being the combination of both Pino and especially Hates that had a good crossfire on the Small Bake, where the entry ended up coming through from Los. One player inside of Bakery itself, one player all the way down the hall from Bar, from Whiskey. Able to find that crossfire, and the players that were jumping into Small Bakery made all the difference. Maybe it's not about disrupting Los in the early game. Maybe it's more about identifying the entry point and shutting it down before they really get in towards the site. If you've got that good coordination, you might be able to shut them down that way. Get some crossed angles on that blitz could make a huge difference. Not that there's going to be a blitz this time around. Arthur's bringing out a brand new operator for the first round of overtime, rocking the glass. First time we've seen it in this matchup. Going to be pairing it with the Grim from Legacy, going to be pairing it with Aurora as well from Farius. This Glaz-Aurora combo is something we've seen quite a bit on a multitude of different maps. I think it's very common to see it on a Bakery push on the bottom floor on this map. Can't imagine that's where it's headed since the bomb site is up top, but these two operators have found a lot of good synergy with each other, and we get to see another creative push coming out from Los, which so far, when they've gotten creative with their executes, have gone really well.
In this whole series between these two teams, I mean, the match we're watching has been quite unpredictable, and there's been creativity on both sides of the boards. I mean, Nip's first rush on the very first round was quite creative in and of itself. It didn't work out, but still, I mean, something can be creative and unsuccessful. I mean, hell, there's lots of unsuccessful TV shows, music, etc. that are very creative and outside the norm, just as you can see the same here with the way that the teams approach this. Cons couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat on this one. He's a sitting duck inside of Reading as Kurtz gets that pick. Cons really should have hit that. He had a almost target-rich environment. Now, next one in line is Hates, who pushes up towards where the assault had begun on that middle floor, but doesn't find anything for it. 2 death marks still in pocket for Outlaw, and it appears that he might use one very soon. Los were not keen to keep those death marks in pocket for the execute. They used them to hunt down the roamers. Will the same happen in this round? We're just past the halfway point, and at the moment, Los with an advantage, and it will grow as Kurtz finds his second down in Reading.
NIP need to recognize this is about to be a cocktail execute and they need to find an answer. Hates down below is a good start to it, but as the smokes start to fly through, if those get paired with a Aurora Gate, this is going to cue the defuse kit coming in. Doesn't look like it though. Might have just been a bait with one smoke grenade. They've got a few Grimbees as well where they're going to try to plant just inside of the cocktail building. If they can get the control down below, they could stop it though.
They've traded out. The Glass is on the board. I want to see what Arthur is doing on this current execute. A Glass having the smoke is not odd in and of itself, but usually you want the Glass to cover while the plant is going down. Not smoke, case. His smoke's in back pocket. Now down below, still this Buck on the middle floor, trying to make things as painful as possible as Legacy's bees are chasing Wizard out of his spot. Wizard is continuously harassed. He won't be able to find much value in the final moments of this round. A drop goes in. Huge patience from Hates. He's got two players nearby, and he could go for the swing. He beheads Arthur, immediately concealing his tracks, and now the diffuser will need to be retrieved. Only 10 seconds left for Los to bail themselves out of this position. Arthur walked in. He died. Legacy will die shortly thereafter. Kurtz will need to clutch. He's got 3 kills in the round. A 4th will have to be had. But where is Hates sitting? He can't get to him in time. And as the clock gives them the round, both teams with a player still alive, but Nip with the victory.
What a round it was. NIP, they are able to disrupt that push. It's a little messy. They lose a lot of bodies, but who is it other than Hates to make that play down below? He's been a guy all game long who's just been in weird spots, making decisions. He's playing with a lot of freedom on this NIP team, and he's getting a ton of good value out of it because of how much freedom he's had. The prompt attack timeout, but I really like the movement we've seen from Hates throughout this game. Not afraid to sit in one spot, right? He's going to be roaming all around the map, making a huge problem, and always just a fear in the back of Los's minds. After he got that first pick on the mid floor to try to claw back man advantage, that really stalled things out for Los. They realized, shoot, there's another guy on that mid floor. We thought we cleared out reading. Now we've got to worry about him, and they couldn't track him down. They couldn't find him. At the end of the day, they were able to get some good B pings up above. They were still working towards their eventual goal of coming in through cocktail, but it didn't matter. They were so concerned about what Hates could do, and that fear ended up being valid as Hates came back inside of Piano. No clue he would have rotated up there so quickly. So those mind games you might have to play up against Los, right? Disrupt them before they can go for those big executes. They're going to have to talk about what they want to do on defense. It's been a very long time since they played on this defensive side. Didn't go very well for them. If they don't win their first defensive here in overtime, all of this comeback would have been for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, what a dogfight this has been between these two teams, and frankly, a terrific match for you and I to cut our teeth on this time in the SAL. Our very first time actually casting the SAL, as now it's been renamed. Those that have not followed along, some of the regions have been condensed and rebranded. The NA League still remains with the same title, but there is now a Mexican team competing. Over here, you've got what used to be Brazil, but is now the South American League, as you've got a bunch of Argentinians playing on 9Z. It's Naza Nitro and Tuku. They will be in action later today, actually in our very next matchup against Black Dragons. 9Z sitting at 8th place, Black Dragons in 2nd place. ED, despite, as I said, having a new image, are a very consistent team in terms of organization. They've been around since, well, actually, they've been in the scene longer than I have, and I've been here for 8 years come September. Very different look, different jerseys, etc. I will always have a fondness for the original Black Dragons logo because the very first event I ever worked was in Sao Paulo, and I got to wear all of their merch and make fun of what would become the G2 squad, Penta at the time, on stage. Probably matchup number 2. There's 5 matches today, as there are in most of the major regions, so buckle up. We've got plenty of South America League for you.
Black Dragons' new roster is really exciting. This new Los roster was supposed to be really exciting as well. This would be a huge game for them to win, even though it's overtime, even though they would only get 2 points. It would still be massive for their point in the standings. Just get another win on the board for a team that has really struggled so far, especially in the early parts of the stage. Cons moved over to the Monty for their only attacking overtime round, and they're trying to clear out that top floor still. It's only Arthur and Legacy that remain up above to try to make something happen to stall this push a little bit. They previously did this with the Clash. You remember Arthur on that operator. Now he's gone to the Smoke, another op that can slow things down, that can waste a lot of time up above and maybe cause some Nitro Cells down below as well. Watch out for Farius in the late round too. Playing down below could make a weird rotate up white, up red, up brown. That's often a spot that bottom floor where some of the weaker attacking teams don't always check for. And IP aren't wary of Farius playing down that bottom floor. He could have a huge impact in the late round, but for now, I think they're feeling okay. They've cleared out the top floor, there's still 70 seconds on the clock, and they just got it over the pit.
That's huge, but it's answered right back. Outlaw, who's been the lowest rated performer on the side of Los with a hugely impactful kill. Still over a minute to go in the round. It's anybody's game. They will trade yet again. Kurtz and Hates, the two hot hands on either side, will be engaged in a bit of mutually assured destruction. It doesn't hurt nor help either team. You've just eliminated the threats on both sides of the coin. Now it's all up to the support players on the side of Nip to get this job done. Los just needs to hang on and push us to round number 15. Incumbent upon Nip to bring the case on in. It'll be in the hands of the Monty of Cons.
Going pillar, that's going to be likely stopped by a Doyo if it's not already been popped. With a vertical destruction, you have to imagine it has. Will anybody rotate to the top floor to contest these guys too, though? That's going to be the second question.
Some form of explosive damage done to Cons as now he attempts that defuse plant. Pino and Wizard will need to cover. I don't think Los is aware of this as they're circling around the bomb site with very limited intel. Over towards pillar. Down goes Pino. Cons will fall as well. It's Wizard in a 1v3 to clutch with Case down, and he's squashed by Farius. Los denying Nip the victory in round number 14, and we'll go all 15 rounds.
I said you might have to watch out for Farius in the late round, Parker. Playing on the bottom floor, made the rotate up, and then had that final kill. Was able to press up onto the top floor, just as I said that somebody might. That was always going to be the problem for NIP, and they weren't quite ready for it. Yeah, you got the plant down, but that is not an easy bomb site to hold off a post plant. There's so many good rotations the defenders can make. Los were able to make those plays. I thought it was a great round from Outlaw, not a player who you mentioned has had a great game so far, but I mean, this guy, he's still a rookie, right? Coming into his very first season of Tier 1, was very hyped up being picked on this Los team. He's played 3 different seasons of Tier 2 Challenger League before jumping on this squad, so he's got a lot of time down in those lower leagues. Hasn't had the best stage. -9 KD coming into this game. Still not great KD, but that last round, we started to see that potential that he brings, right? One of these younger players that can come onto a Tier 1 scene, big name that a lot of people are aware of, and starting to show exactly what he's capable of.
Very, very impressed with this Los team, but as with everything, it's not just about you being impressed by one team. You also, at times, need to kind of wag your finger at their opponents, and in this case, Nip has made some puzzling choices and some puzzling decisions. Well, that'll be something that the analyst desk can dissect after we get finished with this matchup. We know that an outcome will arrive in about 3 minutes' time. One of these teams will walk away with 2 points, the other with 1. All 3 points need to be earned in regulation for you to claim them. The thing for Los is that there will be a fair bit of movement up the standings should they win. Number one, if they win here, it'll clear them of being taken over and jumped over by Team Liquid, who sit in the basement of the South America League. That's something that's a good conversation worth having, and an entirely different point that we can talk about later on. If Los get all 2 points, they would sit at 5 points, tied with Loud and Furia, but it would come down to round differential. Los's round differential is as bad as Team Liquid's is, despite the point differential. And I mean, you're not going to gain much here. You're going to get a +1 in an 8-7, so not exactly a huge wealth, but they'll still move up to a position where they'll be in the basement, but not quite as far down. As for a team like Nip, 2 points would give them second place uncontested, just behind W7M, but keep in mind all the other teams played today, so it is unlikely that they would stay there. If Nip just get 1 point, there will be no movement in the standings. So realistically, there's big opportunities for both teams. Nip could be the big winner here, but they've taken a bit of damage early, and now Los is setting up for the execute.
Yeah, and Pino has brought a nasty surprise to round 15. The first Kaid of this game. He hid through the entirety of the prep phase. It means that it's going to be next to impossible for Los to get that freezer hatch. They only brought can openers for the hard breach, and that can't clear out an electrified hatch. Their only real answer is going to be the Twitch drones being brought out by Legacy, but it's not easy to sneak a Twitch drone into freezer with how many defensive positions do exist for NIP. So watch out for that. This is going to be the goal now as Legacy starts to toss out this twist drone. If they can't get this hatch opened by popping off the electric claw thanks to the twist drone, they're going to be in serious trouble. Do they funnel down white? Do they go bakery? That's the question, but it doesn't matter. There goes the claw, cleared off by Legacy. Really good twitch play. It looks easy just driving the twitch drone down, but when the defenders are looking for it, when they know that it's coming, it'd be really tough to get that drone in. So really nice work from Legacy, coordinating with their teammates to pop that fire canister as well, so they couldn't deny it from VIP. Now's the execute though. 5v5, 35 seconds. What's this push gonna look like?
Legacy's been running this Twitch so often that you have to expect it'll be coming through, and I'm sure they saw one of the drones at some point, so a bit of a shame that Nip wasn't able to stop this. It's given them safe passage as out goes a Nitro Cell. Damage is done to Arthur. He's worried about getting pinched and will have to find another secure area for him to plant. He thinks he's found it. The rest of Los will have to cover. This is it, do or die for both of these teams. A Nitro Cell and a bullet to the head will stop it in its tracks, and Nip looks like they've tossed cold water on Los. Farius now marching his way down Brown Stairs with a hopeless, impactless kill as Nip survives quite the scare. Los really made them as marching his way down Brown Stairs with a hopeless, impactless kill as Nip survives quite the scare. Los really made them work for it, but in the end, the result was semi-predictable. Ninjas in pajamas taking 2 points, but honestly, a victory for Los, getting one and walking away with a point in that match.
I mean, Los entirely
in front of the team.
Actually, you go both have tanks and some people the abuse of it. Say a really weird way to defend. Why was there no aggression? Why was it so slow? Why was it that almost every single round the opening kill happens in the last minute? That for me was the craziest thing in this matchup.
It was great, wasn't it, Jack? It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was. I think I'm actually quite impressed with Los. I think obviously they only picked up the 1 point for losing the game, but we asked them coming into this game. We challenged them. Can they step up on their attacks? They certainly did that. You know, you said it was an attack inside the cafe. I understand Leo's point about NIP sitting deep, sitting passive. That is exactly what they were doing. They were inviting Los's attacks onto them, and ultimately that's where they faltered. However, Los did bring out some fast attacks. They brought some direct attacks. They brought a lot of different creative ideas as well. And that being said, they will be disappointed not to have fully got it over the line though, because they had the full advantage to take the full 3 points from this game. For an IP, I thought they were quite heavily carried. I thought Fantasy and Hates particularly was at the forefront of everything that was good so far today about an IP.
Yeah, they're putting in numbers when it was sorely and desperately needed here at the half. You're thinking, my God, Los come back in the second one. And then still, going to OT is not something maybe I would have expected going into this. Then again, I'm just looking at the vibes of the game usually before we get into it. But like you're saying, Los really gave it their all. Just able to bring it back to OT already requires a lot, because how many times, Jack, does it happen where we go to Cafe, you see a team getting smashed on the fence, and they just give up. They don't really, they start struggling on attack, they second guess themselves. They don't really know how to handle their defense, or really their second half, no matter what side it would be.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously a game of two halves, and I think we saw that today. But it was, I suppose, what was weird about the game today was that it was a game of two halves where attacks actually dominated, because the defenses were.
Listen open. One operator remaining. Why is there HP? Miles box. Miles box, no HP. Oh my god!
I'm actually the fucking best.
The best ever! The best ever!
The C4s, guys, keep on me.
I'll try. Nice.
That's ace, they can't get the triple off.
Yeah, another one top east door!
Cat! Laying down! Archive the gap, archive gap. Nice, Zach.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Chill, guys. Let me get this.
Right here, Zach! Right here! Kill him! Get him, Zach! Fuck down, bitch!
Just cast out impact. No, that'd be OP.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna run him. Oh my! Yes! No!
I'm so
proud of you! Coach! You're the best coach in the world!
Go for another!
I'm gonna live forever!
I guess I just should just shoot him. Cause I can't terror them, so that sucks. It'd be so nice if I could tell. Oh, okay. I swear I'm not. I swear I'm not using the external
How the
house.
fuck is it a 4v6?
Yo. Wait. Oh yeah, we actually heated up right there. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. That was definitely one of the craziest I've hit.
The thing with the internet, once it's there, you can't take it back. This glass one-tapping in situations is very satisfying, I must say.
Come on! Let's go! Yeah, Ricky, what's good, dude? And this is why the f I'm in phase!
Magazine 交換
Flash has gone off.
Oh yeah,
The Capcom good
oh, look at this! Reload animation, one bullet, Bok champion, reload animation, one bullet. Oh.
Look at that, I'm the fucking goat. Holy. That was Jeff right there, and then boom boom.
I don't know. Oh, never mind, I lied. Light your pants on fire, Chuji! I do this for my mama and my little brother too. Oh! Nah, I'm getting reported. Jesus. That's a wrap. Oh my, no! That was the most cheater clip I've ever hit in my life. Nah, that was the most cheater clip I've ever hit in my life. He called him downstairs, chat.
Yeah, I'm running the breach walk.
I got server window. We're not lower line.
Dude.
Nope.
Jump logic.
Server window.
I got actually dicked on.
Still contesting breach.
I'm still in Logi.
Is that front door? This plat.
Rotating back up.
Server window.
CC window?
Nice.
That's a glitch. Was that 3 one-taps?
I don't remember.
No, it was 2 one-taps.
Oh my
That was round, good round.
That's a third slipper.
It's not the church though.
Oh, that's a kill. Damn!
Dude, I died to Womp Womp every round.
That's not hard camera. That's him. That's anyone. Nice. He's in the mirror window. They're gonna try and slap
Oh,
us.
he's in there!
Top miss. 1 trophy, 1 miss. 2 top miss. 3, all three. Oh, 2 more. I have perfect info.
Oh, that was good.
He's planning. No, don't ping. I have perfect info. Give me comms. He's on the breach. He's on the red ping. Don't ping, guys. Don't ping. Maybe he's retired. He's planning on the 3rd ping. He's off. Running. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh, come on! Oh my god. Oh my god.
All I'm saying.
Where was he?
He's in hard mode for some reason.
Oh my god, I'm whiffing! Oh! 2 dead! 2 dead!
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be showing you how to use Benro.
Underneath the island with a nitro. He's gonna go for a nitro.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god, Zach!
Oh my god! On me! Fish water, swing it out! I'm running. I'm sorry.
Easy.
You're so much better, bro.
You're the best ever doing it.
Running upstairs, bandit.
He's already upstairs.
You're so much better! He's the best to ever do it.
What the
He's a
ball?
good
Actually, both.
Two condor.
Find out. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah! Oh my god.
Then just 1 HP on pig. Just don't go kill him.
Bro, you can jump in gym window right now, bro. We can run inside.
I'm in buffer. 1 gold. He's swinging me now.
He's in CC.
Oh, there's one in office. Guys. I can point Jim.
Ain't gold.
No, he's on 4-ping live. Swinging wide, swinging. Nice. Condo.
4 remaining.
I think that was count.
Oh my god, hold it.
But
yeah, come.
Mosh_laser just resubbed for 1 month.
Holy.
One friendly operator.
Bro, I'm trying to hit one nice shot and you just.
Look at that,
Bro, you actually spent.
Dan's not looking. The plant goes down successfully. Where's the counter play? Where's the adjustments? Nothing. Nothing for Burris Pro except swung out by Pashu. But an even better one for Vidaking. Full extended. Holding out in the post plant. A position every defender is so worried about. But can Dan, with his grand final on the line, juke him out? Happy feet. Combo incoming. It's nothing.
dismantled. Echo's dead. Handy's gone double. Gunner in a 1v3. We've seen him do it before. The first one is down, and the plant is being secured by KDS. Is Gunner able to duel the cover? Oh! He's the king of the diffuser! The king! Of the diffuser! Twice now, Gunner has crushed FaZe's dreams!
Off Kansan with one refrag. Packer looking to kill him for a fourth, and he's successful! Spiker is all that stands between wildcard and defeat! Packer is hungry for this ace. There's so little time remaining. 5 seconds, Spiker now behind the table. Packer just around the corner, and he gets both! Spiker, 1 versus 3, and wildcard stay alive!
Holding on by a thread, Spiker.
Goes to the plant here. They don't have full top control, but now right there, there's a huge pick. They can now go for the plant.
Yeah, use the slow 1 health though in towards Expo. Frag thrown out by League Effect, and the plant to go down. Still watching the floorboards up above. He's in a good position to find a second kill, and a third one as well.
Oh my god, the young guard gets full! Use this as well, supporting him as the attempt from G2 to go for a quick push is thwarted. Doki goes in for it, Shaiko knows about it. Oh, what a shot from Shaiko! This guy is nasty!
Yeah. Oh, Shaiko. Oh my goodness, what have we just seen? Stop stream! Stop stream! Oh, what have we just seen? Stop it! Yeah.
He's picking him up as well, Leaky back. The only player left, he's stuck here on Beepers in a 1 versus 3. For all the time the BDS had, for all the information, it's going to come close, it's going to come down to the wire. Stun goes in, Leaky back, he's found one, he's got to try and split these two apart. He picks the first, he's down to the SMG, there's 5 seconds left, it is swung up,
to go hunting, but the Pantanal's been dismantled. Echo's dead, Handy's gone double. Gunner in a 1v3, we've seen him do it before. The first one is down, and the plant is being secured by KDS. Is Gunner able to duel the cover? Oh! He's the king!
Kill him for a fourth, and he's successful! For this ace, there's so around the corner, and stay alive!
Yeah, there's a huge pick. They can now go for the plant.
From upstairs on the hatch, but you can see certain players going up whatever he goes down as well. Now it's, and they play this to their advantage. Hunter, he goes down as well. Now it's all up to Chef Jeff to cook up whatever he can from upstairs on the hatch, but you can see Circular Spheres know exactly where he is, and they're just baiting in 2 players, 3 players coming up the main stairs as Japer baits him. In comes the onslaught, 1 down, 2, a third one. Who's getting on the Chef Jeff! Chef Jeff! What is this? Who let him cook? He's up in kitchen right now, and there's absolutely nothing Japer can do about it. Unlucky, I guess. The round is over. Chef Jeff have made Circular Spheres look like fools.
Mate, he actually made Circular Spheres run circles.
Eyes finished off, now it's Spoy taking damage. I don't think he knows where that came from. You know, against the world, unless he can pull his teammate back up. Go for it. There's a reinforcement against the wall, so you know you can't be shot at. He knows look sensational so far through these first 3 rounds. He'll now need to rely on Spoit to cover. Legacy dropped, Bursa flanking. Does Spoit know this? Bursa stop it in time. Spoit gets the final 2 kills. You are a better Spoit. At least
use this as well, supporting him as the attempt from G2 to go for a quick push is thwarted. Doki goes in for it, Shaiko knows about it. Oh, what a shot from Shaiko! This guy is nasty!
J90 out-muscling Rexen. Grixer's been dropped. Surf is the last one up, and he's on a collie. That is not great. Looking for the non-shield is... Oh, he quickscopes Forest! A drop from J90. The sidearm will come out. Forest trying to draw it out, and Forest saves the round!
Goodness gracious!
What angles SSG are not holding, but he'll move in, and it doesn't matter because never mind, he domes Fultz through the smoke. But surely Forrest is good on time, right? He's got to push forward. Reaps might be able to hop up before he gets there. Forrest sprinting up, he doesn't know! The 1v2! They don't. SSG now gonna kill. How is this a round they're going to win? C4. Oh. All right, so we're in copper.
Yeah. Oh, Shaiko. Oh my goodness, what have we just seen? Stop stream! Stop stream! Oh, what have we just seen? Stop it! Yeah.
This is where BNF just went, let's just stand. See what we can do and just play your own game, everyone. And they just went for the spawn peaks and it's worked for them. Been able to stun it out. What is going on here for Misa?
He's got so lucky. So lucky. Seconds away from it all going so wrong. He's managed to do it though. And a nade! In 2024!
Bonus takes out Virtue and Benja. Alamo's also gone and Uno by himself. He gets the down on the Nask, but still two more to find. Lagonis has the diffuser, keep in mind, so that depth isn't going to do much for him. Lagonis is going to get a plant, but a tap from Uno out of nowhere. He's going to switch to the Echo Drone, but it's not enough time. Lagonis has got the diffuser planted, but again, Uno still has plenty of time to him. He can rotate this Echo Cam into a position where his teammate can use that for information, but the HP, both of them are dead to each other's guns.
This is absolutely unreal. What a 1v1 finish that we're going to see here to round 6. Lagonis just holding his angle. Knows Uno's coming, but Uno finds the angle. 1 versus 3. And it...
Most are certainly making use of those F-Knots to allow themselves this extended roam, because Dark Zero think they can get away with those lurks, but the F-Knots reveal these positions. Sexy Kick finds Pambazoo.
Oh, wow.
Darius finds NJR. A lot more individual engagements taken by Dark Zero this time, and Los are there to punish him. Wizard with the third, and this seems to be a quick win for Los. If this trend has anything to say, another 2v4, another entry into the site, but a bit different this time. As Nate finds one, it's only one body lead for Los, and Bolo's got the angle on 2 of them. They're not able to rotate back in time, and we're in the post. One drops from behind. Bolo routes, and he does it to him. Highlight reel play inbound. You'll see that.
Looking for Lagonis to get the diffuser down. Oh, but he can't get through. Oh, not even landing time. A big blunder from Liquid, and all Gavin needs to do is just waste time. Lagonis getting it down. And oh, not even landing. For Lagonis to get the diffuser down. Oh, but he can't get through. Oh, not even landing time. A big blunder from Liquid, and all Gavin needs to do is just waste time. Lagonis getting it down. Push. Gavin through the wall. From zeros to heroes, and now to a grand final. It's still very winnable based on the utility they have, but you've got to start winning these fights. And I mean, now it's not winnable at this point, actually. Oh, NJR destroys Miracle. Groovy is next. Revolver out, 13 kills for him. As there goes a smoke, and a reload is the smart play. Now around, destroys June. Savage and Adrian is the last 2 remaining. Savage has been the best gun so far for Secret. He's on the blitz. It'll all come down to Adrian on the coverage.
The 1v5.
They had everything going!
Find a nice frag, but Black Dragons with a strong lead. Good
Wow.
boy. Might land that one with the Bailiff. We've got vertical destruction. Unfortunately, that Black Dragon should be able to hold. Or even maybe they can drop Freezer if they want, as Good Boy now reaching towards the end.
Oh!
Freezer if they got vertical destruction. Unfortunately, that Black Dragon should be able to hold. Or even maybe they can drop Freezer if they want, as Good Boy now reaching towards the end.
Oh!
You're kidding!
It's actually Denster coming around, able to pick off Gourmet's. Roa will be picked off. Rexon finds a second one as well. A third one! Where did this come from?
Rexon, what is going on? Daddy Shark to finish things off.
Ghost might get a 5v2, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, we're firebolting, we're nading, we're shooting holes through the floor, throwing everything just to get this advantage. But, to be fair, they've got it. They've got this 5 versus 2. It might have cost almost everything. But if they can hold on to this, surely they can close it out. Kino with the first one, Gavini with the second. But again, this advantage is too strong. You can drop a couple bodies and still come away the victors. Some intel inside of the site, but Kino walks right into Logi, spots one, transfers onto the other. No way, not like this. Hard pings on the next one. Diffuser with the shotgun. Not two 1v3s in a row! You're fucking kidding me, man!
For NJR to be in. He's got one gas canister remaining, and he has no information. He thinks that it's been an A-bomb take. Rexton will taunt him in all chat, as that Kludge drone has taken a lot of the tools from the defenders away from him. NJR will ignore the chat and go for this, but this will be an easy pick for Grixer, who gets compelled on. Wait, hold on! But it was too late! We have cut away. I don't think there's enough time. It's going to come down to the wire. Dark Zero still wins it. You've got to be shitting me. I can't.
The Falcons need to do despite the two-player advantage. Keep an eye on I9 as well towards the back, over towards the hallway. Nice little entry there from Jayla through metal, and that is probably going to unlock the round for them because they've got far more side control inside. The smoke double for BG, man. The Warden very successful, make that a triple kill. Can he go anymore? I9 combines as well. Fury win the round from absolutely nowhere.
Here we go. And then he's going to fly in J9O with a big kill and a lot of verticality to play into this. The fire's not going to reach Kino though, and this plant so far, so very good.
I mean, so nice for M80 right there. They have Cameraman on the backside. They're trying to telegraph a backside push. SSG react in kind. Their resources heavily biased towards admin. And now the diffuser comes in, planted on the CEO window, and SSG are left wondering, what the hell do we even do here? Kiba goes off, Ashen trying to get this counter defuse out, but Citizen still got the angle. SSG get the advantage back, but it's just a carousel of bodies thrown at the CEO window. And M80 are able to fend them all off one at a time. Finally get that advantage back. A beautiful run out from J9O. Can he get this diffuser down?
Oh, man.
Kino not on the position. He's got to go on this rappel. Flashbang trying to stop. He sends it in, and he kicks him in the face! Insane play from comes to guns. Hyper very low HP as Spoit ducks for cover inside of the default plant spot. Impact goes out as Hyper falls to the wayside. And the boy Wonder must now do the most to deny match point from the hands of Cloud9 Beast Coast. There's one. Ballistic Shield can't do much there. Deagle shots wrap around. And one more, and you've got time. Oh, you have time. Full reinforcements as well. He'll try to style on him. Deagle in hand, Gavini creeps forward as Spoit sticks it. He turns around, sprays, takes the fight, and commits! Cuts him down, 3K for our boy. 5-5.
But who's better? Who's the better combination? But what is Dan going for here? 30 seconds, makes himself a rotate, plants, jumps for the rotate. See if he can bait a kill onto the vertical holes. This is a blind spot, keep in mind. But they'll know where he is. Jum can give out that information. He's gonna stick it. Dan, gonna be there, and oh, barely gets out of there. And now Dan in the post plant in the 1v2, but both players are gonna be full HP. This is difficult. Needs to hit the headshots. Oh my word, Jum just drops into the open space. Dan, there's no way! You're not allowed to win that!
Man advantage to Virtus Pro, but the diffuser is down. 3 days up close, and that is a whiff and a half from both sides. But up above is Shaiko. Can he hold on here, Tim? 3 players he's got to deal with.
And they're definitely going to push him on the upper floor. They know that's where Shaiko is going to be located. Virtus Pro have got to take this fight. They've got to win it, but a smart move. They go for the disable at the same time as taking the fight. But it's Shaiko that you're up against. He gets the down onto joystick. He manages to find all 3. That was absolutely wonderful from Shaiko.
Not generally worried about it at the moment, but KDS still has 25 skeleton shots to use.
Beast Coast have gone below these roamers, all the way down in the basement.
How's he done that?
Oh, what a shot from Diffuser! That's a one-tap for you.
That's a Esports Award Player of the Month nominee right there.
Well, it could be round winning, or it could be completely ineffectual. He's just waiting, he's biding his time. He sees the player. How long will he wait? Bite your tongue!
A 1 versus 3, he has clutch potential. It is doable. 2 players low for FaZe, but this would be a very monumental moment if Nade is able to pull off the impossible. 40 seconds, 1, close right, tucked in, prone. Does he clear it? Nade, full white, on his own flash.
No response initially from Souls. Now he gets up. Position known from Nade. Goes pro. The vault over. It's clean. That was a very low HP. Souls, and so is Vidiking. Still time. Kit in hand as well. It's something. The Goo Mine stepped off momentarily, dislodges his position. 2 impacts from Vidiking. And look who's still alive on the other side. It's his brother, Handy. Nade. He knows. Shuts down his brother.
For this very final defense of Black Dragons, things have fallen apart very quickly. Hornet and Florida, the last 2 remaining. A shield play from Doki works out. They've thrown him on that fuse shield, but now Hornet could clutch, and he will! Oh my word! G2 lining up right in.
Motivation booster because Border was open.